Avelar Energy has grown into a major European player since 2006. What's been the growth strategy?
When we started the business, we looked at several trends. One of them was the overall idea that energy is going to be extremely important. And it was not that obvious in 2005, 2006, because the oil prices haven't hit 140 or whatever they hit in 2008. The renewables were not as prominent as they are today, and the politics didn't enter into the sector as much as they have entered now. But we thought, okay, people have enough to eat, most people have shelter. Now it's going to be, given the number of devices that people carry that require electricity, it's going to be extraordinarily important. That was number one. Number two was that sooner or later, renewables will become important. And it was, again, not that clear back in 2006. And the third was that Europe will be liberalizing. And Europe was at that time so dominated by the incumbents, so to speak, that we thought there is a place for an upstart company that can compensate for lack of assets with its speed. So this was the logic behind starting the European energy business.
You're focused on both conventional and renewable energy, but what's the business case for green energy in the 21st century?
I think the business case is kind of relatively similar to, have you ever noticed the little toy shops in the airports? This is kind of the guilty dad, having been away for a week and buying the toys. I don't think green energy will save the world. I don't think that wind, solar, and we don't have the technology to take 30, 40%, a sizable quantity of the energy production. However, green energy, first of all, is a step in the right direction. More importantly, the mankind will face a dilemma. On one hand, coal is, in terms of availability of resource, its distribution, its cost, and cost efficiency, coal is probably the most efficient fuel there is for the next 100 years. At the same time, coal is relatively CO2 heavy. And building a coal plant which is CO2 neutral is not inexpensive. It's an expensive exercise. So on one hand, people will be building coal plants, and especially in the new countries like China and India. And to compensate for that, they will put more and more renewable energy forward. It's kind of the guilty dad concept. And sooner or later, renewable energy will become a business in its own right and will become cost competitive with the technology. It will start initially to compensate for the deficiencies of the main sector, but it will ultimately arrive at the self-standing business in its own right.
You're developing solar parks in Italy and elsewhere in the Mediterranean. So simply, why solar?
Because if you think about it, all the energy in the world comes from solar. Oil and gas, all the hydrocarbons are compressed solar energy and some chemical processes that took place over millions of years. Wind and tidal and other renewable energy sources are also related to solar. The only thing that's unrelated is the nuclear energy on Earth. And if you run a simple math, the sheer quantity of solar energy hitting the Earth's surface is vastly greater than what people need to live. So sooner or later, people figure out how to use it more and more and more efficiently. It is an interesting and profitable business today because of the incentives put in place by the various governments around the world. And we believe we will be the first ones to recognize every technological achievement and every step forward that makes this business more and more self-sustainable, less reliant on the specific government subsidies as we go along.
Avelar Energy has been a remarkable growth story so far, but what's the vision for the company in 5 years' time?
I believe there is a number of trends that we need to stay very focused on. One of them is we need to be very strongly anchored in Europe, because Europe leads the pack in terms of renewable energies. Europe is also quite advanced in terms of liberalization. And in the conventional business, we need to stay in Europe and we need to perfect the business model that we have. We are building several assets. We are a €1 billion company now. We will be a €3 billion company in 3 years, based on the European liberalization model and based on European consumption levels. The second trend that's going to be extraordinarily important is the sheer amount of energy demand from whichever source that will happen in the places like Turkey, India, Southeast Asia, and Middle East. And we will be participating in the build-up of the energy producing capacity in different formats. The third trend, which is going to be extraordinarily important, is the financing. We are by now a very large recipient of various forms of financing, project finance and credit lines. And we believe that there is a market opportunity to systematically participate in this sector. So we're thinking about creating a green bank. We're thinking about going into the finance arm of it, because there will be a lot of people coming to the market with the request for finance, and there are no specialized players in the sector on the market now. And of course, we will be watching very carefully the developments in terms of the way people are consuming energy, the way grids are operating, the way people store energy. And there is another business model that will come to it. So it's a four-pronged strategy, and how this will exactly allocate between the elements, I can't tell you, but ask me in 1 year.